I stopped chasing love from other people and started loving me. And that's when it found me and everything fell into place. A year ago, on July 27th, my husband and I said, I do. In this conversation, I'm sharing my own story of calling in divine love and showing you how you can do it too. This is a really special episode because my husband, who I often call Mr. Quiet, he's making a special guest appearance and giving a quality guy's perspective on dating and love. Trust me, you don't want to miss this episode. Before we get started, I want to thank you so much for joining me here. I would be so honored if you would please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this episode with your fabulous friends who might find some benefit, insight, or entertainment from this content. This is a conversation, so please feel free to participate by leaving a comment so I can connect with you. Now, let's talk about it.
Becoming the magnificently empowered, strong, and gracefully, with poise and elegance endlessly. I am who I was born to be.
Welcome to Becoming Conversations in Elegance and Empowerment, where we explore living with purpose, grace, and confidence. I'm Lusinger, your host, author, and transformation guide. This isn't just a podcast, it's a conversation, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Visit becomingpublishing.com to grab your free guide, Exquisitely Dealing with Stress, and join the conversation by leaving a comment. Now, let's dive into today's topic. On this episode, I have a special guest joining me to give you the male perspective. But before my husband, Carson Lusinger, comes on, I want to tell you my side of the story and how I manifested my divine partner. I first want to encourage you that you're never too old, never too fat, never too ugly, never too messed up, never too anything to miss out on love and divine partnership. I was saying on January 1st, 2024, that this is the year that my dreams come true because 2 + 0 + 2 + 4 = 8. 8 is the number that represents infinity and abundance. So it just made sense to me that 2024 was going to be the year that all my dreams came true. Little did I know that just 3 weeks later, I would be crowned a Miss US Queen. Being a National Beauty Queen was something that wasn't even on my radar. The journey has been a whole story by itself that I'm writing all about in my upcoming book, Becoming the Magnificent Me, a guide to unlocking the secrets of love, confidence, and personal power, which is available for pre-order at becomingpublishing.com. I also didn't know that 3 weeks later, a day after our second dating anniversary, that I would be engaged and married 5 months after that. To say 2024 was the summer of love would be an understatement. None of it would have been possible if I hadn't practiced loving myself first and being grateful for all the disappointing relationships I experienced. We always run the risk of not recognizing our perfect match when we're not clear on who we are and what we want. It can also happen when we're too superficial or in a desperate space where any warm body will do. If we don't have that clarity, we'll never know what attributes the person we're waiting for has so that we can easily identify him. So, how do you recognize a quality person? There was a time in my life just about 4 years ago when I found myself feeling tired. No, I was exhausted. I had been waiting for about 7 years for love to come into my life. I spent the first 5 years completely alone. No dating, no kissing, no hand-holding, no nothing. I was exhausted from waiting and exhausted from dating. I was also exhausted from all the times I got my hopes up only to have them dashed. I was just exhausted. I realized that the best thing I could do to express loving myself first was to stop the obsessive thoughts about another person and to stop the negative thoughts about spending the rest of my life all alone. I realized that I had to change my focus to things that I had control over, things that could help others, feed my purpose, and make me feel good. Dr. Wayne Dyer used to say that God is good, and when we feel good, we are feeling God. Al-Anon teaches that when we identify things in our lives that are unmanageable, we give them to God as we know it and focus on what we can change and control, which is ourselves. I have found that the real magic and amazing thing that happens when you redirect your attention to things that are within your control is that you fuel your spirit, you feel good, and you see results. Things you previously obsessed over tend to work out for your highest good either way, and you become perfectly fine with the outcome. I began focusing on writing, creating new content for my brand, editing existing content, and following through with new ideas and projects I had been thinking about. My spirit began to feel fueled. I began to feel good about myself and my purpose. At the same time, I remained open to receive love while staying protective of myself and who I allowed into my life. You know what happened next? The most wonderful, unexpected man walked into my life. I was ready to give up and stop dating for a while. So was he. However, like I'm always saying, everything happens in divine timing and divine order. We were both ready and had been able to fully appreciate and love all the adventures we have together. Has it been an easy road to happily ever after? As far as the two of us are concerned, it has. Have other people outside our relationship made it difficult and painful for us? Yes, they have. It's been people on my side of the equation. What you need to know is that when you find a quality person, you can't let other people's opinions or jealousy get in the way of your divine connection. First, it's imperative to know what a quality person or a divine person looks like, or you may not recognize them when they appear. So, let me introduce you to my quality man and let him tell you about the experience and journey from his side. So, I always tell people that we met looking for diamonds in a landfill, also known as a dating app.
Yes,
Full of trash.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was getting ready to give up. So, why don't you tell your side of the story?
Yeah, I've been on the dating apps prior to you. I started in about 2016 or so. So, yeah, roughly almost, no, I guess, yeah, 6 years. It's been 6 years I was on those things. And, yeah, I was pretty much in the same boat. But, meet a girl, go out, get ghosted, start over, and it was like that for.
See, I thought only guys did ghosting, so.
The truth is, I kind of think that, and I'm not the only one who says, but yeah, a lot of times girls will honestly just do that just to get a free meal. I'm not joking.
Go out?
Yeah.
Well, now some of us were in positions where we needed food, so, but no, that wasn't the main reason for going out. So, how did you know, since we're talking about spotting a quality person, what made you want to talk to me?
Well, you seemed nice. I looked at your bio and I saw, mental health professional and saw some of the, and I'm like, okay, so this is a person who obviously has high emotional intelligence, and so this is a good match. So, yeah, I swiped right and one thing led to another.
Well, okay, so I can get along with anybody on text messages and phone calls. That period of time, there was about a week and a half before we actually met. What were you thinking there?
Just kind of the same old thinking. I was just, trying to figure out, what to, just trying to, see, take things off and then, try to, see where it's going to go from there. And so, yeah, the weeks prior to us actually meeting on a date, I was, just still doing about my day-to-day stuff, but it wasn't until we first met and then we went out, and then I gotta say I was surprised though, because I thought I had blown it for sure after our first date.
Well, you actually did. I gave you the goodbye speech.
Yeah.
Okay, but in context, we went out, had a good time. I think I actually knew, but I didn't realize I knew after the first date because I cried. And I thought, I'm never going to see him again. And then I didn't hear from you for more than a week. And so by the time I did hear from you, I was willing to give you another shot. I'll put it that way. But then let's talk about what happened on that supposed to be second date. Well, in full disclosure, he stood me up. But to your credit, I have to say, you at least asked for another date, and you asked me to give you another chance. So I did.
I'm truly thankful you did.
When did you know I was a quality person?
On that second date when you said yes, you reluctantly said yes, but still, I was like, wow, I've been given a second chance, and I really don't want to blow it this time. And so I like to think I've done a pretty good job so far, 3 years later.
You've done a very good job, yes. So when I talk about a quality person, how did you know? Well, let me put it this way. How did you know I was different from all the other girls?
You genuinely care. You not just like interested in trying to get to, date somebody, but you actually wanted to like truly know who I am, what I'm about, like what my goals are, and all the, big questions that most people don't really.
I asked those on the first date.
I know. Nobody else does. That's the thing. So. It's always just kind of like, oh, so what kind of music? You like, what kind of movies, and this and that, and it's just like the most blandish questions you can ask. But you really, truly want to get to know somebody. So that says a lot, and so that differentiates you from a lot of the other girls out there on that app. So yeah, that was a major green flag.
We don't talk about the green ones, so.
It's always the reds, but
well, because we normally ignore the reds, that's why we have to point those out. What advice would you have to give for women who are looking to find their perfect match?
Be authentic and try to go in there like you're trying to find a date. Like if you're talking to a guy online and you really think that he's got potential, then take it seriously. Don't, because a lot of that happens, like people just kind of like whatever, and so it's like they don't realize it's like throwing away a diamond in a landfill.
That's true. What advice would you give to a woman for red flags to look if she's serious about finding her perfect match? What red flags would you tell her to avoid with guys?
I think probably one of not the biggest would be just kind of lack of interest, lack of communication, just apathy. If he doesn't seem that interested, chances are he's not. So you gotta know it when you see it. Like if he's not interested and he's not taking the time to text you or talk to you. And when you do go out, he doesn't talk a whole lot or isn't.
Well, now hang on, because you didn't talk a whole lot either. You were Mr. Quiet. It was
out of shyness. But, if it's just like you've already been out and it's still kind of not talking very much and it's just kind of meh, that's when you need to leave.
We had some pushback. I'll put it this way. I gave you the goodbye speech when you stood me up on the second date. How would you tell women to navigate that? Were you upset when I told you to go jump in a lake after you stood me up?
I don't remember that part.
Well, I didn't quite say it like that. I said, I hope you have a great life. And
yeah, I felt so terrible for doing that, and still do. I'm sorry.
Oh, I've forgiven you. I've forgiven you a
I
long
know.
time ago.
I really do feel bad. That was kind of an immature thing, and so that's just.
Well, and you've never done anything like that since, so it just proves that you are a quality person.
But do it soft but strong. Just be like, I think you need to be direct about what it is that pushed her ways, but it's like. I offer some constructive criticism because it's honestly a lot better than ghosting, because I've been getting just ghosting, no response, because that will drive you crazy, because then you think, oh, what did I do? What did I not do? Should I have done this or was it that? Yeah, be honest and just say, I like you, we had a nice time, but you kind of, just said, this, I just think we're too different, it's this or that. Give a reason, specify why, so they can at least acknowledge their faults and try to work on it, as opposed to play 20 questions.
What do you think most guys, if they just go away, I mean, obviously that's a sign that they're not serious, but I mean, what do you think most guys are thinking when they do stuff like that? You know, like they'll set up a date, because you're not the first one that did that to me.
Well, I'll tell you what they're thinking. They're not thinking. You know, it's coming from kind of a place of inconsideration, and that's how I really feel about it. You know, when I did that, and I thought to myself, like, I was shocked and like really upset with myself, and I was just like, what? How could I do that? I shouldn't have done that. And so I went out earlier that day with my friends and stuff, kind of slipped my mind, and I'm just like, oh crap, I forget that.
Well, and I think that shows the difference between a person who's quality and someone who isn't, because you've been very consistent since then. Obviously, we wouldn't be sitting here married right now if you were. You have any pieces of advice coming from a guy's perspective?
From the guy's perspective, you kind of have to, like I said, keep your, standards, your boundaries and your standards high, but also, be willing to forgive, because if not, then, like you said, we wouldn't be married 3 years later. So, be willing to give a second chance if you have to, but otherwise, try to spot the red flags and the green flags, and then try to weigh out the pros and cons, and then see what you should do. Trust your heart, but also trust your brain too, is what I'm saying.
Let's talk about our relationship and our marriage. For me, I get happier every day.
Yeah, I do too.
Oh, good. What do you think has been one of the things that has contributed to that?
Just knowing that a lot of people, when they spend, years together and stuff, they lose the spark, but it's not the case with us. We keep it alive and well just about every day, every week on date nights, and we do stuff together always. So we've done a very consistent job of keeping that spark going, and so when things are going well and they're staying well, you've got no reason to complain. You've got nothing to complain about and everything to look forward to.
What do you think would be a good, maybe effective way for a woman to let a man know that she's unhappy?
Be direct, be honest. Don't do any sort of passive aggressive. If a guy asks what's wrong, don't say nothing. Don't, just be direct. Say something, what it is, what's wrong. It's well, I'm upset you didn't do this or that or the other, but just don't say nothing, because clearly something's wrong.
Thank you for showing up and being my guest.
Thank you. I'm honored.
I love you.
I love you too.
Are you finding value in this episode? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Head over to becomingpublishing.com, grab your free guide, and drop a comment here to let me know what resonated most with you. So, how do we know when a quality person comes along? I believe you have to start with identifying the characteristics of the wrong person before you can become clear on who is right. In the 1990s, the female group TLC sang about scrubs. In this song, they are identified as male, but these qualities can be in anyone. They listed characteristics of a scrub, with some of them being flirting from a friend's car but having no vehicle of his own, living with his parents but not having a home of his own, also known as not being financially independent or responsible, and having children but not showing love or being an active, responsible part of their lives. I can add a few more to this list. They don't accept responsibility for their actions and blame others for everything that happens to them in life. They try to convince you that their needs are more important than yours. They flatter you while manipulating you. They lie habitually, and they have no credibility and don't keep their word. Let's face it, we all have hardships in life and sometimes have to rebuild from square one. This has been especially true in the last few years with all the lockdowns, job losses, and poor economy. The difference here is that a quality person will do whatever they can to get back on their feet and be independent, while a scrub or a non-quality person will be fine allowing others to support them and do nothing or very little to change their situation. No one is perfect. However, a quality person will have many or all of these characteristics: integrity, ambition, always forgiving, asking for forgiveness, shows grace to you when you're not behaving your best, and makes things right, generous with time, money, and energy, has consistent positive actions and good intentions. I made this list before actually doing research on what experts are saying. My list seems to coincide with others like the Jim Rohn Guide to Leadership that was published on Success.com. His list is focused on business leadership characteristics, but they apply to personal characteristics too. They include integrity, honesty, loyalty, self-sacrifice, accountability, and self-control. I believe a person who possesses these qualities also has another quality not yet mentioned: love. A person who operates in unconditional love for themselves and others naturally exhibits these qualities and is therefore a quality person. Quote, "When you come to another with love in your heart, asking nothing, only offering that love, you create miraculous relationships," wrote Dr. Wayne Dyer in his book, Real Magic. Love is the highest vibrational energy that exists. That's why we've been told to send love to people instead of a negative, low vibrational energy emotion such as hate, envy, jealousy, anger, or fear. Your intentions matter. Acting with pure, loving intentions will make you a quality person and transform all your relationships. Quote, "Your intention to have a blissful relationship requires you to act in ways consistent with that intention. This is the secret to making your relationships magical. Surround yourself with people who encourage you to be all that you are capable of being. If you meet someone whose soul is not on purpose as yours is, you send them love and move along, trusting and knowing that the right soulmates will show up and meet you at the same frequency that you are radiating," Dr. Wayne Dyer wrote. People who love others show grace. I've never been shown grace much during my life. Even though I've always tried to live my life to a higher standard and be a positive person, I've been expected to function like a fully sighted, perfect person, which I am not. I think I do very well for someone who has experienced low vision, but that never seems to be taken into account. People around me have had, and many still do have, very unrealistic expectations of me, and have even shamed me for a medical condition I have no control over. That lack of grace in my life stopped when I met my husband. He helped me tremendously during the pageant and does so on a daily basis. He treats me like I'm a valuable treasure, not a piece of trash to be disposed of. During his best man's speech at our wedding, his brother told all the men to watch how my husband treats me, because that's how they should be treating their women. My husband also shows me grace when I need it the most. You know, those moments in life when we act in ways not typical for us, and those moments where we don't even recognize ourselves. In those moments, other people have shamed me. They've magnified those embarrassing and non-typical behaviors and never let me forget them. It's as if most of them found pleasure in making me look bad and feel bad. On the other hand, my husband shows me patience and is kind. He accepts my apologies for my behavior and tells me that he knows that it isn't who I really am, and points out outside factors that contributed to my behavior, such as stress. That is love in action. That is what showing grace looks like. It isn't easy to do it in the moment, but being the best version of myself, regardless of how others act, has been a gift that I'm so grateful for and something I'm proud of. I believe the saying is true that like attracts like, and by focusing on being a quality person myself, I've attracted a quality person. The same can happen for you, and you'll most definitely be able to spot yours immediately in any case. In today's society, we encounter many people who are either so emotionally unavailable that they only want you around when it's convenient for them, when they have nothing better to do, or they put so many conditions on love that you have to question if they're offering you love or bondage. They may say, "I love you, but you have to do this for me. I love you, but if you don't do this, I'll never forgive you. You know I love you, but you have to act this certain way, or you're showing me that you don't love me back. I love you only when you do this. Otherwise, I'm not sure I even like you. I love you, but you can't say anything about my negative behavior. That shows me that I love and trust the wrong person. The list goes on and on. Of course, since getting married, I keep going back in my mind to what it says about love in 1 Corinthians 13. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is not jealous. Love does not brag. Love is not proud or arrogant. Love is not rude. Love is not selfish. Love cannot be made angered easily. Love does not remember wrongs done against it. Love is never happy when others do wrong. Love is always happy with the truth. Love never gives up on people. Love never stops trusting. Love never loses hope. Love never quits. Love will never end. Dr. Tim Clinton, author of the book Identifying Real Love, defines infatuation in contrast with real love to give us a deeper insight. Quote, "An infatuation does indeed go as unexpectedly as it comes, and there is little you can do about it. But real love is unselfish, committed love. It hangs in there. Some couples are basing their marriage on real love. Others are basing theirs on infatuation, which is false love. A marriage based on infatuation will not last," he wrote. Back when I was exhausted in the dating scene before meeting my husband, I kept hearing in my head the line of a song my grandmother and I used to sing together, "If That Isn't Love." And it was talking about Christ. However, I just kept hearing the words, "that isn't love." Example after example of relationships I was involved in crossed my mind, and I kept hearing those same words, "that isn't love, that isn't love." If someone says insulting things to you, that isn't love. If someone puts you on a guilt trip and makes you feel badly, that isn't love. If someone pressures you to give into their will and wishes, that isn't love. If someone isn't there for you physically and or emotionally when they can be, that isn't love. If someone cheats on you, that obviously isn't love. If someone tells you they'll never forgive you for something you deeply regret or never did, that isn't love. If someone makes you an option when they have nothing better to do, that isn't love, girl. If someone makes you feel that you have no value to them, that isn't love. I could go on and on with example after example that I hear from clients or while we're out on date night, but you get my point. These examples aren't just for romantic relationships. You can use this list to apply to all other types of relationships. Dr. Clinton said, "You can spot true love by these qualities." True love offers a safe place to be you. It isn't driven by a desire to rescue, overprotect, control, or manipulate, or a need to perform. True love values the other person for who they are and celebrates healthy separateness. True love genuinely wants the best for the other person. It is grounded in our heart's desire to cherish, honor, and treasure another simply because of who they are. These three things are easy to understand and remember. However, if that isn't enough, he gives us these clues to look for. If your love is real, your interest is in the total personality of the one you love. There is the thrilling element of physical attraction, but it is only one of many things about the person that attracts you. If it is real love, most of the qualities of the other person attracts you. That is important because when the initial excitement of being married wears off, you need a lot of common interests to keep your marriage alive and well. Real love always starts slowly. It cannot be any other way. You have to know a person before you can truly love that person, and that takes time, lots of time, to really know someone. In real love, your feelings are likely to be warm and tender instead of hot and cold, and they are more consistent. Real love grows slowly, but the roots grow deep. If your love is real, the one you love will bring out your best qualities and make you want to be a better person. In real love, you plan and prepare yourself for a successful future marriage. In real love, your beloved is the most important person in the world to you. However, your relationships with your family and friends continue to be important to you, and you do not neglect them. In real love, absence makes your heart grow fonder of the one you love. Real love can and will survive the test of time and distance. In real love, there will be disagreements, but real love will live through them. They will become less frequent and less severe. Every couple should learn how to handle conflicts. It is far better to discuss differences openly and frankly than to allow them to smolder under the surface. Real love is unselfish, committed love. You want to do all you can to bring happiness to the other person. Your overall attitude is that of giving to the relationship and not that of getting what you can out of it. Quote, regardless of the choices others make, you can learn the secrets of loving well. You can learn to recognize and receive real love when it comes your way and push back when it doesn't. You can learn to really love the people in your life and know when and how to help them without hurting yourself in the process, Dr. Clinton wrote. I go back to the topic of loving yourself first. It is so important to practice it. In today's society of opportunists, online scammers, and narcissists, you will most likely be faced with unloving behavior. If you don't love yourself first, it will be a lot harder to push back and stand up to this kind of behavior. Let me be very clear here. There is nothing wrong with standing up for yourself when another person is mistreating you, no matter how many times they may call you stingy or selfish. It's your duty and responsibility to stand up and protect yourself in a graceful and royal way. If you need some help in this department, my book, The Princess Guide to Loving Yourself First, is available at becomingpublishing.com. I've used it with clients to help them gain confidence and set and enforce healthy boundaries, and I used it to improve my own life and prepare myself for my magnificent match. Like they say, flowers are meant to be enjoyed by the living, not the dead. Meaning, don't wait until someone dies to send them flowers or tell them how much they mean to you. Whether you're in a relationship or alone, it's vitally important to also show that love and appreciation to yourself. I hope you gain some insight into how to spot your quality, divine, magnificent partner. It starts with self-love and turns into a beautiful, happily ever after love story. If you don't have yours yet, hold on, you will. Just keep doing the internal work and it will all happen in divine timing and divine order. Thank you so much for spending time with me on Becoming, Conversations in Elegance and Empowerment. Was there something in this episode that resonated with you? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you're ready to take your personal growth to the next level, visit becomingpublishing.com to explore my exclusive coaching programs and resources tailored for ambitious women like you. There you can also download your free guide, Exquisitely Dealing with Stress. If you found value in this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend who's ready to create the magnificent life and relationships they truly deserve. Until next time, stay elegant, stay empowered.